question?
One of the things that you implied in your discussion was a more intelligent consumer. And we know that, for example, that obesity, smoking, and other activities contribute to our medical downfall. So part of it seems that there needs, like Bloomberg was doing in New York, or other programs which basically have to educate the public on the consequences of their actions. There are other things, for example, if you go into your workshop and cut a finger off or something like that, there's something to do with safety. And the third part of that is, a few months ago I had an elbow that swelled, went to a doctor, and $200 for Medicare and $200 for me, tell me just wait 3 months and it'll go away. So there seems to be a multitude level of education which really has to be done. And the question is, how do you reach people, outside, your schools, since the schools are geared up to do something like that?
Right. Well, that's where I think forums like the one we're going to have on December 5th begin to do that. You mentioned Mayor Bloomberg and the things that he tried to put in place with the soda and the calorie counts and the smoking in public restaurants. And look at the grief he's taken over it. People's, really pushing back on it. I will tell you that I think in the negotiations over the Affordable Care Act, the most pathetic thing I saw in that partisan divide that took place had to do with end-of-life care. And the fact of the matter is we have, and I think my hospital colleagues who are here would agree with me, we have way too many patients dying in intensive care units in our hospitals. And it's because we have not addressed the issue of end-of-life care. Getting people into a much more appropriate, comfortable, way less expensive setting in their final days. That got, remember the death panel thing, it got so exaggerated. We need to have those discussions publicly, and they have to be not politically driven. They have to be factually based and understood that there are ways we can bend this cost curve. There are very effective things that can be done and should be done, but the public has got to get engaged in the discussion and understand that this is not we don't need this to be a political process. We need it to be a scientific process, a well thought out process. And I hope that's my plea, that we can do this with groups like this, because as I said earlier, we both have a stake in this game.
One more question, way in the back, of course.
I can speak loud. Just to piggyback on what the gentleman said up front, it seems to me that there's a third rail involved in all this. When you talk about obesity and diabetes and the increase in that in our society, and that's the food industry and their responsibility to it. Now, you can educate people to death. With the tobacco industry, they did it. They put warning labels on their products. Yes, they've seen some of a decrease in it, but you're still seeing younger folks smoking. And there's a whole host of reasons why, because there's an addiction piece to it. But the food industry is like the one industry that we don't talk about. There's additives in the foods that are making people eat more. That's causing obesity. That's spiking sugar levels. And it would seem to me that groups like this, that we can take some kind of stand on that and start bringing that more to the public forum than educating the consumer. Because honestly, you can educate them, but if you're feeding them stuff that's only going to make the problem worse, you're not going to get the information.
What's your question now? What is your question?
What can we do as consumers, as business owners, to start putting some pressure on these large corporations that are in essence dictating our diet and our health?
Okay.
Good question. I'll just summarize it again. What can we do about food choices, and the fact that we're being dominated by the companies?
Repeat the question so
Right.
that.
So the question was, what can we do about the food companies who are preparing foods with a lot of additives in them and so on that are not that good for us? Well, have you been following the Twinkie discussion the last week? People are lamenting the fact that Twinkies are going away, but the fact of the matter is that the woman is absolutely right. And I don't know if you enjoyed the scrambled eggs this morning, but the fact of the matter is that we this is a two-way street, quite, in my opinion. The food companies most certainly are preparing and fostering things on us that we otherwise shouldn't want. But you know what? We buy them, and we consume them. And so until we as a society push back, and when we do, the food companies will respond, quite frankly. So if we demand a healthier lifestyle, if we come to understand initiatives like Mayor Bloomberg has put in place, we're done because he got some really good science advice, not political advice. He quite frankly didn't care about the political ramifications. If we see more of that happening, then the food industries, the X-ray company, all of the industries that contribute in some ways, they'll get the message. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for an organization like yours to work with us in the medical community to see if we can start to have that discussion.
Actually, you know what you can do is you can shop at Adams, you can get the fresh produce there. Can't go with first, right?
Join me in thanking Kevin for sharing this discussion with us this morning. We have a beautiful print of the Hudson River Valley Balloon Festival by Terrell Gable for him. And there is something else you can do to be a part of this discussion, and that is attend the Chamber's